Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about The Boys Season 1. And there should be another video dropping sometime next week, hopefully, about Season 2. Um, but as of now, I haven't actually finished Season 2. I'm almost done with it. But Season 1 I thought was really good, and I just want to, talk about it right now, quickly. It shouldn't be too long of a video, hopefully like 10 minutes or so. But yeah, so if this is something that you're interested in, me like talking about shows and how good they are, how bad they are, video games, then be sure to subscribe, drop a like. It really helps me and my channel out. Um, yeah. So first, I'm going to talk about the very first episode because I feel like this is the first episode of the show is really, really good, and it serves as sort of like a driving force for the show. And you see Huey, who's a character you don't really know that well, go through something truly emotional, and he seems like a normal guy, a morally good guy, but he goes through like severe trauma, and then he becomes mad. He becomes really pissed off about Vought for lying to him and being so destructive with someone that he loves. So he seeks revenge, and that's something that someone like him, a character like him, probably wouldn't do. But he's just so upset that he does go out seeking this revenge, and I feel like it's really interesting to see that, just because he's pretty much a normal guy who, it's a pretty stereotypical plotline, just a normal guy who finds out something and goes on an adventure, but the way that his character is written in, because of the trauma that he experiences, I feel like it's really, really well done, you know? So now we are going to talk about the characters, and the characters in the show I feel like are all pretty good to great, honestly. Even the villains, specifically characters like A-Train and Queen Maeve, who you're supposed to not like them, thinking that they're terrible people, but they're written into the show in a way where they seem human, when they are superhuman, in fact, and they like suffer through these things, and you see that happen. You see A-Train have to kill his girlfriend, and you can see that he's emotional because he is also human when they make him out to be like some kind of monster, when really he's not actually morally worse than the boys themselves. They're just so hell-bent on revenge. And when the villains are written into the story well, then that's really good because most of them are actually good people. Even the Deep, really, they're just like so. They're just like so well written into the story, and you can really connect to them on a deeper level. And the heroes, on the other hand, I can say the exact same thing about, because Huey, who's the most relatable character on the show, becomes a killer even though he's not actually a bad person. You kind of see him become one. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Huey, who is the most relatable character, goes through a lot of shit in the first season. And you see that happen. You can actively see that happening in the way that his character and his personality develops and changes over time. And same with other characters like MM and Frenchie, who are the two other people in The Boys who are not Billy Butcher. And they both have sort of subplots because MM kind of gets hooked in. Like, he's hesitant at first, but then he chooses to join The Boys, and then he regrets it because he sort of moved on past that and he ended up getting back in. Which, shows us a little bit about who he is. And then Frenchie, who's somebody who is really like just a criminal his entire life, just dramatic past that we learn about at some point with his father. He finds something that he cares about, which I think truly the only reason that he cares about Kimiko so much is because he knows he's done so many things wrong in his life. He just sort of wants to save one person. And you can see that in the way that he acts around her, because he genuinely feels bad for her, which is something that you wouldn't really expect from him. But yeah, characters in the show, both good and bad, really well written into the show. Nothing bad to say about any of the characters. Usually I'm at least annoyed by one character or something in a show like this, but all the characters, even the villains, are totally likable, and it makes you question, like, are they actually, except for Homelander, of course, are they actually like bad people? Because nobody in the show except for the exception. Except for the exception. What am I talking about, bro? Except for Huey and Starlight are actually morally good people. And, I'm going to talk about that later, actually. But quickly, I'm just going to turn it over to the gore because this is a very, very violent show. I mean, it's a hard R. So, some people said that they don't like the gore, but I actually kind of do. Not because I'm like a huge fan of blood or anything like that, but I just feel like it's always integrated in the movie in a convincing way, and it's shown as a way to like illustrate a point to us. Sorry about my dog, by the way. It's shown as a way to illustrate a point to us, Like in the very first scene, we're shown it's just a complete bloody fucking mess when Robin, is that his girlfriend's name, dies. It's a complete. There's just so much blood. It's a very gory scene, and it's like that for a reason. It's to show the viewer how bad the death really was, and also because he's on Compound V, so we can see how powerful. Later, when we figure out about Compound V, we can sort of discover how powerful Compound V can be, And then in the second episode, when Huey kills Translucent, it's also blood everywhere, all over him, and we get that shot with all the blood in his face, sort of to show that he is a cold-blooded killer now. There's no going back. Okay, that's who he is now. And I think that it's in these two situations, and later, when there's a lot of blood, when Homelander kills a guy by ripping his heart out, to show that Homelander is a bad person. I feel like every time that they add a lot of gore into a scene, it's for a reason. It's to show something, and I can respect that. I don't really have that big of a problem with the gore. All right, so moving on, the one character who I didn't really talk about earlier, other than Black Noir, who's not really in this season, so I didn't talk about him. But I didn't really talk about Homelander that much, and that's because I have an entire section written just about him, and he is the best fucking character in this movie. I just absolutely love a villain that's written so well. You see him just being a terrible person, not likable, not anything, because he is the most powerful person on the planet, and he has absolutely zero regard for human life, and all that he really cares about is power and getting people's respect, people loving him. And the reason for that is because he never had someone to love him his entire life, really. Growing up, you can kind of see him, how he's such a terrible person, and then you get to see maybe as to why, which is, his traumatic childhood and the fact that nobody loved him growing up. So then when he's older, he wants everyone to love him, all the people, and they do love him. He strives for that. That's all that he really wants. So, yeah, just great way of writing that into the story, And he's so just desperate for everyone's affection. He's just a very well written all around character who, you love to hate him. You know what I mean? But the two characters you don't really hate at all and aren't really bad people at all are Huey and Starlight, and that's sort of why I feel like they're both such good characters in this show, because Huey, once again, is not a bad person. He's just kind of dragged into this, and neither is Starlight, and they kind of are both in terrible situations that they don't want to be in, and that gets them to be in a relationship with each other where they can talk about this and experience it together. They have somebody to go through this with. And I think that's really important, So I think that they're like a great couple in this show, especially because it's showing that he's moving on from Robin, and that's helping him become more sane. Whereas Billy Butcher, on the other hand, who never moves on from Becca, is still crazy. I mean, just crazy shit is going on both their lives, and they are both constantly trying to do what they feel like is the right thing while Huey getting revenge. So, of course, the finale ended on a huge cliffhanger for season 2, what with Becca being alive and everything, and the super baby. And you know that Billy Butcher's just going to go after them the next season. So I'm really excited, to see how they're going to integrate that into season 2, or I already have seen some of it, but not that much. So, although I do feel like the finale kind of wasn't as good. Not that it was a bad finale or anything, I just feel like it all sort of built up to the cliffhanger. And that's a fine thing, but I feel like the only reason that it was there was for the cliffhanger. But there were also some important things that I'm going to talk about, and that is like the scene where he kills Madeline and he brings the baby down because obviously he's jealous of the baby because she's stealing it. The baby's stealing attention for Madeline. I mean, that's once again, he was raised with nobody to love him, and Madeline is one of the people who loves him the most now, and he's basically splitting attention with this baby, so he's acting like a child about it almost. And you can see how angry he is about that when he almost wants the baby to die because he obviously doesn't care about it that much. But eventually, once he figures out that Madeline's been lying to him, he doesn't hesitate to kill her at all, which makes you wonder if he really cared about Madeline that much in the first place, or if he just wanted somebody to love him. And if you ask me, I think that he just wanted somebody to love him. But overall, super good season 1 of The Boys. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know why you're watching this review, but go watch it. I'd honestly give it a 9 out of 10. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe. That really helps me out, helps my channel grow. And guess I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.